First contact. Commander Elian Voss adjusted his formal military jacket as he stepped into the crystalline dome of the Meridian Embassy. Earth's interstellar coalition had sent him, their most decorated diplomat with a military background, to negotiate peace with the Meridians, whose bioluminescent skin and empathic abilities made them notoriously difficult negotiation partners. They experience emotion as truth, his briefing had stated, but read nothing into their light patterns. That's considered deeply invasive. The embassy's interior glowed with a soft amber light that seemed to pulse from within the walls themselves. Elian fought to maintain his composure as Ambassador Nera Lux entered the chamber, her slender form moving with liquid grace. Unlike the reports he'd studied, nothing had prepared him for the subtle patterns of light that shifted beneath her silvery blue skin as she approached. "Commander Voss," she said, her voice melodic yet distant, "Meridia welcomes you, though we question the necessity of these negotiations." Elian extended his hand in the human gesture of greeting. "Ambassador Lux, Earth appreciates your willingness to discuss the disputed territories in the Cygnus sector." Naira looked at his outstretched hand with what might have been disdain, the light beneath her skin dimming slightly. "We do not touch during first meetings. It's considered presumptuous." Elian withdrew his hand immediately. "My apologies." "Your ignorance was expected," she replied, but Elian noticed a flash of cerulean light pulse briefly at her throat. Curiosity, perhaps? The meeting proceeded with formal introductions and preliminary positions. As Nera outlined Meridian claims to the disputed asteroid belt, Elian found himself distracted by the way light played across her features when she spoke of her homeworld. During a break in proceedings, Elian accidentally brushed against Nera while reaching for a digital treaty draft. She recoiled instantly. "Do not touch me, human," she said sharply, but her skin flared briefly with amber light before she controlled it. "I apologize, Ambassador. It was unintentional." Later, as they walked the perimeter of the dome, overlooking the Earth colony below, Nara's professional veneer seemed to soften slightly. "Your species is remarkably adaptable," she observed. "You've colonized 17 worlds despite your biological limitations." I replied, "We compensate with technology and determination," noticing how the distant stars reflected in her iridescent eyes. "And what drives your determination, Commander?" I answered honestly, "Connection, finding understanding across differences." Something flickered across Nera's face, a pattern of light that vanished so quickly he might have imagined it. For the briefest moment, her eyes met his with an intensity that transcended diplomatic protocol. "Then we may find these negotiations more illuminating than expected," she said quietly. As they parted ways that evening, Elian realized that beneath the formal exchange of positions and boundaries, something unspoken had passed between them, a current of mutual fascination that neither diplomatic training nor cultural differences could fully suppress. Unspoken language. 3 weeks into negotiations, Elian found himself in the private diplomatic chamber with Nera well past midnight. Digital maps of the Cygnus sector hovered between them, contested territories highlighted in pulsing red. "Your coalition's mining operations disrupt the harmonic frequencies of the asteroid belt," Nera explained, her fingers gracefully manipulating the holographic display. "These vibrations are essential to our navigation systems." Elian leaned forward, studying the data. "We could modify our extraction protocols to operate within these frequency ranges," he suggested. "Would that be acceptable?" Nera paused, the light beneath her skin shifting to a thoughtful violet hue. "That would be a significant concession." "Not a concession," Elian corrected gently, "an adaptation." Their eyes met across the table, and this time Nera didn't look away. The ambient lighting of the chamber seemed to dim around them, making the subtle glow of her skin more pronounced. "You are not what I expected, Commander Voss," she said softly. "How so?" "Humans have a reputation for being intransigent, yet you seek harmony rather than advantage." Elian smiled. "Perhaps we're not so different." A ripple of golden light cascaded across Nera's neck and shoulders before she could suppress it. She turned away quickly, but not before Elian glimpsed what looked like embarrassment or pleasure. Later that week, during a cultural exchange dinner, Elian learned that Meridians communicated emotional nuance through their bioluminescence, a language as complex as any spoken word. Though they controlled these displays in formal settings, intimate conversations between Meridians were often conducted entirely through patterns of light. "It's why we find humans difficult to read," explained Counselor Terrace, an elder Meridian. "Your emotions are hidden beneath your skin." "Not entirely," Elian replied, glancing toward Nera across the room. "We have our tells." When their eyes met, Nera's skin briefly shimmered with a pearlescent glow she quickly masked. Counselor Terrace followed Elian's gaze and raised an eyebrow. "Indeed," he murmured knowingly. After dinner, Elian found Nera alone on the embassy's observation deck, gazing at Earth's distant silhouette against the stars. "Your world looks peaceful from here," she said without turning. "Appearances can be deceptive," Elian replied, standing beside her, close, but careful not to touch. "Yes," she agreed quietly, "they can." In the silence that followed, Elian noticed how the starlight played across her features, how she seemed to absorb and reflect them in subtle ways that human skin could not. "There's a meridian concept," Nera said suddenly, "called lumira, the sharing of light between kindred spirits. It's considered intimate." "We have similar concepts," Elian said, "soul connections that transcend physical differences." Nera's fingers rested on the railing mere centimeters from his. "The Council would consider such thinking dangerous. And what do you consider it?" Her skin pulsed once with a deep rose color that needed no translation. This time, she made no attempt to hide it. "Inevitable," she whispered. Forbidden signals. The grand illumination ceremony marked Meridia's celestial alignment with its 3 moons, a rare occurrence happening once every 60 years. As Earth's representative, Elian received an unprecedented invitation to attend the sacred ritual. "This is a significant honor," his superior officer reminded him over secure comms, "but remember your primary mission. The mining rights must be secured within the month." Elian acknowledged his orders mechanically, his thoughts elsewhere, as he dressed in the formal attire provided by the embassy, flowing garments of silver and blue, designed to reflect and complement meridian bioluminescence. The ceremony took place in an ancient amphitheater, carved into crystalline cliffs overlooking the iridescent sea. As Elian was escorted to his seat among the diplomatic guests, he couldn't help searching the gathering crowd for Nera. "She will be with the Council of Light," whispered his guide. "Ambassadors participate directly in the alignment ritual." The ceremony began as 3 moons rose simultaneously, their combined light refracting through the crystal formations surrounding the amphitheater. Hundreds of meridians began a synchronized display of bioluminescence, their skin patterns shifting in harmony with the celestial movements above. Elian watched, mesmerized, as waves of color swept through the assembly, indigo deepening to violet, azure brightening to electric blue, then coalescing into a unified glow that made the boundaries between individuals seem to dissolve. When the ritual reached its apex, he finally spotted Nera among the council members. Unlike the others, whose attention was focused on the moons above, her eyes sought and found his across the distance. Even amidst the spectacular display, Elian felt the intensity of her gaze like a physical touch. As the ceremony concluded, attendees dispersed to various celebration pavilions along the cliff paths. Elian found himself drawn to a secluded overlook, somehow knowing she would find him there. "You understood what you witnessed tonight?" Nera asked, appearing silently beside him. "Not entirely,"
Elian admitted, but I felt its importance. The alignment reminds us that we are part of something greater. Individual lights forming collective patterns, like stars forming constellations. The diplomatic reception continued in the distance, their absence surely noted, but temporarily overlooked amid the celebrations. In human history, Elian said, forbidden meetings like this often change the course of nations. Nera's skin rippled with subtle patterns he was beginning to recognize, uncertainty mingled with longing. The Council suspects my objectivity is compromised, she confessed. They're monitoring our interactions. And are they right? Elian asked softly. Instead of answering, Nera slowly extended her hand, palm upward, an invitation that needed no translation. Heart racing, Elian placed his palm against hers. The contact sent visible waves of luminescence cascading up her arm and across her shoulders. "This is how we share truth," she whispered, her voice unsteady. No words to hide behind. The sensation was electric, not just physical touch, but something deeper, as though their emotional states were briefly connecting across the biological divide that separated their species. When they reluctantly parted, both knew something irrevocable had changed between them, and with it, possibly the future of their world's relations. "Tomorrow's negotiations will be complicated," Elian said, trying to regain his diplomatic composure. Nera's skin glowed softly with a combination of colors he hadn't seen before. Determination intertwined with something that looked remarkably like hope. "Perhaps," she replied, "that's exactly what both our worlds need."
Eclipse of duty. The diplomatic crisis erupted without warning. A human mining vessel had strayed into a sacred meridian resonance field. Whether by accident or intention remained unclear. What was certain? The resulting disruption had disabled meridian navigation systems across 3 sectors, stranding dozens of vessels. Elian was awakened by urgent messages from both Earth Command and the Meridian Council. The fragile peace negotiations were unraveling rapidly. "We demand immediate reparations and withdrawal of all human vessels from the Cygnus sector," declared High Counselor Varric, his skin pulsing angry crimson as he addressed the emergency session. "This violation cannot stand." The Earth Coalition representatives bristled with defensive rhetoric. There is no evidence this was intentional. Accidents in space are inevitable when territories remain disputed. Caught between his duty and his growing understanding of Meridian culture, Elian searched desperately for Nera among the council members. She sat rigidly at the far end, her luminescence muted to formal neutrality, eyes deliberately avoiding his. "If I may address the council," Elian said, stepping forward despite his superior's warning glance, "this incident, regrettable as it is, presents an opportunity to demonstrate the very cooperation we've been negotiating." "Explain yourself, Commander," High Counselor Varric demanded. "I propose a joint rescue operation. Human vessels have superior thrust capabilities, while Meridian ships possess the resonance technology needed to navigate the affected zones. Together, we could reach the stranded vessels before life support systems fail." Murmurs rippled through the chamber, some skeptical, others considering. Elian finally caught Nera's gaze across the room. For a brief moment, her skin flickered with a pattern he recognized. Approval. "Ambassador Lux, your assessment." Varric turned to her. Nera rose gracefully. "The commander's proposal has merit. However, implementing it would require immediate coordination between our navigation systems and their propulsion technology. An unprecedented level of integration." "You would need to work directly with Commander Voss," Varric observed, suspicion evident in his tone. "Yes," she replied evenly, though Elian detected a fleeting pulse of apprehension across her skin. "For the sake of those stranded, I am willing." Within hours, Elian and Nera found themselves aboard the Meridian rescue vessel Luminary, their respective technologies hastily integrated into a hybrid system. Working in the navigation chamber, their hands repeatedly brushed as they calibrated the resonance frequencies to Earth propulsion patterns. "The Council suspects our connection,"
Nera said quietly as they worked. Varric has assigned observers to monitor our collaboration. Then we focus on the mission, Elian replied, though his pulse quickened whenever they touched. Saving lives transcends politics and personal complications. The rescue operation pushed both of them to their limits. For 36 hours straight, they worked in tandem, guiding the ship through distorted resonance fields that would have been impassable to either species alone. During a rare moment of privacy in the ship's observation dome, exhaustion finally overtook them. Nera's professional composure slipped, her skin glowing with unchecked patterns of stress, fear, and something deeper. We've rescued 7 vessels, with 4 remaining, Elian said, offering her a stimulant drink from his rations. The last are in the most severely affected zone, she replied, accepting the drink. Their fingers touched longer than necessary. The hybrid systems are reaching their limits. Then we'll push beyond limits, Elian said simply. Nera looked at him with undisguised emotion, her skin pulsing with admiration and longing. This collaboration, what we've achieved together, it changes everything, doesn't it? Before he could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. The final resonance field had destabilized completely, threatening both the stranded vessels and their own ship. In the crisis that followed, they moved as one, Elian's tactical experience complementing Nera's intuitive understanding of resonance patterns. When a power surge threatened to overwhelm the navigation system, Nera instinctively pushed Elian aside, absorbing a feedback pulse that sent visible waves of pain across her luminescent skin. "Nera!" Elian caught her as she stumbled. "I'm functional," she insisted, though her light patterns flickered erratically. "The mission comes first." Together, they stabilized the ship and completed the rescue of the remaining vessels. As they limped back toward Meridian space, Elian treated her injuries in the medical bay, his fingers gentle against her sensitive skin. "The Council will use this as evidence," she whispered, watching his face as he worked. "That I compromised myself, that I chose you over protocol." "Did you?" he asked softly. Her skin glowed with the unambiguous truth she could no longer hide. "Yes," she admitted, "and I would again."
Convergent orbits. The joint rescue mission had changed the tenor of negotiations, but not in ways either of them had anticipated. While both Earth and Meridius celebrated the successful operation, political factions on both sides moved swiftly to separate the architects of this unprecedented collaboration. "You're being reassigned," General Harlow informed Elian bluntly during their secure briefing. "The coalition believes Ambassador Lux has undue influence over your negotiating position." "The mission proved our species can work together," Elian protested. "That should be leveraged in the negotiations, not undermined." "Your replacement arrives tomorrow," Harlow continued, unmoved. "You'll return on the next transport to Earth Central." Across the embassy complex, Nera faced similar scrutiny. The Meridian Council had viewed the recordings of her uncontrolled luminescence during the crisis, patterns that revealed her emotional investment in the human commander. "Your light betrays what you refuse to admit," Counselor Varric stated, his own skin radiating disappointment. "You've formed a Luminara bond with the human, a connection that violates our most sacred traditions." "The connection between our peoples is what saved those stranded in space," Nera countered. "And yet you speak of peoples while your light speaks of him," Varric replied. "You are relieved of your diplomatic duties, effective immediately." That evening, as preparations for their respective departures proceeded, Elian received an unmarked data crystal, a message containing only coordinates and a time. Despite the risk to his career, he found himself at the specified location, a forgotten observation platform overlooking both the Meridian Embassy and the Earth colony beyond. Nera was already there, her luminescence subdued but visible in the darkness. "You came," she said simply. "Did you doubt it?" She moved closer, her light patterns shifting with undisguised emotion. "They're separating us because they fear what we represent." "Which is what?" "Evolution," she replied.
the natural progression that occurs when different worlds truly connect. The night air hummed with tension as they stood at the precipice of possibility. Their respective worlds were pulling them apart, yet something stronger drew them together. "I've been studying Meridian history," Elian said quietly. "There's precedent for diplomatic envoys who serve as permanent liaisons between worlds." "The Luminara," Nera nodded. "But they were always Meridian. Never has an outsider until now," Elian finished. "I've submitted a formal proposal to both governments, a permanent joint commission on interspecies cooperation with permanent representatives from both worlds." Hope flickered across Nera's skin like sunrise. "They would never accept." "They already have," Elian smiled. "Reluctantly, with numerous conditions, but the rescue mission proved the value of our unique perspective." "And if this commission required its representatives to achieve deeper cultural integration?" she asked, her luminescence pulsing with barely contained joy. "To truly understand each other's worlds?" "I believe that would be a sacrifice I'm willing to make," Elian replied, his hand finding hers in the darkness. This time, when their palms met, Nera made no attempt to control the cascade of light that flowed from the point of contact. Patterns of azure, gold, and rose spiraled across her skin in what Elian now recognized as the visual language of profound connection. "There will be challenges," she whispered, "misunderstandings, moments when our differences seem insurmountable." "Like any relationship," he agreed. "But perhaps that's the point. If we can bridge our differences, we create a template for our worlds to follow." Under 3 rising moons, their silhouettes merged against the backdrop of stars. Not just 2 individuals defying convention, but pioneers charting a course between worlds that had always viewed each other across the cold distance of space. As Nera's luminescence enveloped them both in gentle light, she spoke the ancient Meridian promise of connection. 2 orbits converging into one. Elian completed the vow with the human response he'd learned for this moment. Neither eclipse, but both illuminated. Their kiss transcended the physical, a communion of light and emotion that needed no translation in any language of any world. In the gaze that followed, as news of the unprecedented Joint Commission spread through both Earth and Meridian societies, some proclaimed scandal, while others celebrated evolution. But for Elian and Nera, pioneers in the uncharted territory between worlds, the path ahead was illuminated by a light entirely their own, a beacon for others who might someday follow in their steps across the stars.